How we doing, family? Welcome back to Larry's Anything Goes. Hopefully, you guys have had a great and exceptional week. It's been a short week, but it's been a great week, and it's been a very, very productive week. Given the fact that we're still alive, it's just something to be happy about, in my personal opinion. A lot of, unfortunate part of social media now is it's opened the gateway for a lot of people to always look for some negative in life all the time, no matter what the situation may be. And I think today is a day of remembrance in regards to the people who have fallen due to the unfortunate events that took place in 9/11. So if you are alive and well, if you're just alive in general, I think you should be very grateful, as humbled as I am, to still be alive and to still be able to hopefully be able to see people that you care about, people that mean something to you, and et cetera and so forth. All right. Now, when I as remembering 9/11 because for one reason, and that reason is, and I want to hear from you all. Put it in the comment section, please, because I'm basically going to talk about where I was on that day back in 2001. Now, I was actually in school. It was just a regular day in school and whatnot. I was in my senior year, and I remember I heard my teacher state that a plane crashed into the Pentagon. Back during that time, I guess I'm showing my age. Back during that time, the internet was still new and everybody didn't have a computer and whatnot. So, people were just starting, everybody getting at least one computer in the household. Not like now, everybody has a computer in their room, laptop, desktop, iPad, et cetera, and so forth. Now, the cell phones. So, that was a time frame where it was still new. And I was just like, okay, I figured first thing I thought of is, okay, maybe this was just an accident. You know what I mean? Just like a regular plane crash. But then, you know, and then the sad thing is, because growing up in the DMV, a lot of people work for the government, a lot of people associated with the military. So you had a lot of people in my class worried and crying. And my mom was working on the military base at the time as well. So I was worried, and I didn't have a cell phone back then, so I had to use a payphone. Like I said, I guess I'm showing my age, to make sure my mother was okay, and she was on lockdown. So that's my remembering of 9/11. I think they let us leave school early that day. It was a long time ago, but everybody was worried. Everybody was in panic, and most people didn't know what the heck was going on. It was crazy, and obviously we didn't get the details until later on. So, but it's crazy. Thinking about all this time that has passed in regard to 11 as a whole. So, um, and it's a day of remembrance, and I usually don't, like I said, go live, but a lot of memories stirred up today in regards to 9/11. So I was like, let me go live and let me talk about it. And like I said, I go live because I want to hear from everybody else. So if you're watching, give a thumbs up. Let me know you're out there, and definitely let me know especially if you were alive, because I know there's still a lot of people that were not alive during this time frame, because it was 19 years ago. Um, and it's crazy how much has changed throughout the United States and throughout the world altogether since 9/11. I mean, whoever thought that other parts of the quote unquote third world are becoming much more close to the first world and whatnot. I mean, every because like I always say, every country in the world has an issue. No country is 100% perfect. But now it's like parts of the Caribbean and parts of Central and South America, Asia, and Africa are starting to get more and more developed. That's within the last 19 years, and the shift of people in general, perspective, opinions, lifestyles. A lot has changed since 2011. A lot has changed. The world has changed tremendously. Old habits have not died hard since the 11, unfortunately, but a lot of things have happened. New York City was never the same after going to New York City, because I have family there, was never the same after 9/11. So it was very, very crazy. It was very tragic, to say the least. I will say that much. It's not seeing those twin towers there, in New York City. It was just definitely. And I remember as a kid, going by the Pentagon, seeing where the plane hit, the building and whatnot. So that was insane. And then I remember months later, I went to go me and my because I'm a teenager, so I go where my mother goes. We went to visit our family in Dallas, Texas, and I believe another plane, but it wasn't due to a terrorist incident. A plane crashed into a house in Queens, New York, and whatnot. Like a couple of weeks afterwards, a couple of months afterwards. So it was definitely, different time and things of that nature. And then that made me that spooked everybody, especially I had to be there for my mother. And like, hey, we're gonna get through this flight. We're gonna be all right. As soon as we land back in the DMV area, all was well. But like I said, it was an interesting time. And hey, you did back then you didn't have TSA at the airport. And now it's like now we have not only that, but now you got to wear your face mask when you're at the airport, So it's like when you get on the plane, you got to darn near wear your face mask everywhere. So, and I get it. I'm not against that at all because safe. I'd rather be safe than sorry. That's how I look at it. But it was just thinking about that now, man. This is reminiscing on the days of 9/11 and how things have changed so much. I mean, heck, who would ever thought I'd even have a YouTube page or anything of that nature? I was a teenager back then. Having a cell phone was still a new concept. And back then, you had the flip phones. So it rocked people's world. Tremendously did. A lot of people, even the ones who survived, had a lot of physical ailments, mental ailments. From witnessing tragedies, obviously the brave people that helped take that plane down in Pennsylvania. You know what I'm saying? So it's something else. It is something else. The world will never be the same. Even what's going on right now, the world will never be the same. And it's crazy times that we're living in. But it's crazy, but it's interesting at the same time. It's like back then the world it went through a shock, unfortunately, but a lot of things change. Perspectives change. Personalities change. A lot more growth happened. Within the U.S. and around the world, and relationships change, and it's like I said, it's very interesting. And now it's the same dynamic in the sense, excluding the tragedy. Obviously, I'm just talking about the change in general. The changes that are happening right now, perspectives of Americans, how the perception of change, and I think the change is a good thing because the one thing I can say, 9/11, financial meltdown of 2007, and now today the coronavirus has taught us is that you can never be too safe when it comes to your physical health, your mental health, and your financial health. Those three specific things. You can never be too sure. Okay. And you have to remain on your P's and Q's at the end of the day. So that is one thing, and not remain on your P's and Q's, but remain thankful and humble at the end of the day. Because a lot of people, I think we all as a world, just as a world society, period, we get comfortable, and I always say the comfort zone is the death is basically a death sentence. And once people get a little too comfortable, you know, it's like that one thing happens, and then you're like, darn, I should have been prepared. So nobody's saying that you have to be on guard 100% of the time of your life. No one's saying that you can't enjoy your life. I'm all for people enjoying their lives, but it's the old saying: if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. All right, and if you're ready, at least halfway ready. I'm not going to say 100%, but if you're halfway ready, I think that you'll be able to make moves and still be successful and still be able to move forward and whatever you want to accomplish in this life. And 9/11, a lot of people to remember not to ever take anything for granted and never take a day for granted. I think 2007, the financial meltdown taught people how to not be so crazy with spending money, to not be so financially illiterate. You had more people having no choice to become more financially literate for the case, and doing more research and homework and even consulting financial professionals and legal professionals because, that took people for a tailspin. Let's just be realistic about that. Let's just be realistic about that. And But like I said, when you're remembering, and like I said, let me know in the comment section, where were you if you were alive? Where were you on that day? What were you thinking? Did you have family in any of the areas that got affected by when the terrorist events happened and the planes and things of that nature? Please let me know because I want to hear other people's perspectives on this. But it, like I said, will never be the same in that regards. Never, never, ever be the same. And security when it comes to people flying now, much more tighter and for good reason. You know what I mean? When it comes to people going, foreign travel, much tighter for good reason. You know what I mean? So um, it's interesting. Like I said, it's very interesting. And now it's like I wonder where we'll be 20 years from now, saying, "Man, the coronavirus. This is how it hit us, it affected the economy this specific way." Because you're looking back, it's almost been 20 years ago since 9/11 occurred, and we're looking back and reflecting and whatnot every time the 9/11 comes, September 11th, and we are reflecting and seeing like, dang, man, where was I on that day? Dang, how much has changed? You know what I mean? Do I even still interact with these people anymore? I mean, the list goes on, et cetera, and so forth. It is, and I think, and I ask myself that same question now, 20 years from now or 10 years from now, how are we going to look back on COVID-19? How would it affected the economy? It's been over 10 years since the financial meltdown took place. So, I reflect on that. I remember those days. I remember seeing jobs just disappear. I remember seeing foreclosure houses just blow up, go through the roof, people moving out at night, never to come back, water being left on in the houses. And, I remember that. I remember seeing my 401k go from here to there, there. It just like got to a point where you just didn't want to look at it no more because you just like, you know what? I'm not gonna worry about it. So it's just one of those things, to say the least. But like I said, let me know your experience of how you where you were at, how you dealt with 9/11 and things of that nature. Because like I said, it was a crazy time, to say the least. And it took a long time to even feeling normal again when it came to traveling and whatnot. It took a very long time. And the same thing, like when the financial meltdown happened, it took a long time for anybody to gain a lot of confidence in the market, from real estate to stocks. Even though a lot of the people who stayed in real estate and stayed in the stock market prospered later. But, it took a long time for people to get that confidence back. And everybody's wondering the same thing about COVID-19. How long is it going to really take? Even though the market hasn't been affected tremendously as the same as it was with the financial meltdown in 2007 and 9/11. But, it's one of those things of what's really going to, how's things really going to play out and whatnot. We already know things are never going to be the same again. You see NFL football is back on, baseball is on, basketball is on. People are trying to have a normal society again. So I get it, even though it's not completely 100% the same. You see places like Vegas are open. You see places like Miami and Atlanta are open. Eventually, New York City is not going to have a choice but to reopen. Unfortunately, right now, you see the West Coast is on freaking fire, and I didn't even realize these two stupid idiots are having a baby welcoming party or some crap like that, and no one in the state of California having fireworks is illegal, and of course, these idiots decided to do so, and now the whole freaking West Coast is on fire. I mean, even parts of Oregon and Washington State are on fire. So, it's very interesting times that we're living in. I will say the least, but still thankful, no matter what. At the end of the day, just thankful to see another day and to be able to make the moves and be around the people that I'm around. So that's all I can say about that. So definitely do me a great favor, family. Do a like, share, and subscribe. Always greatly appreciate it. Definitely always appreciate the super chats and the cash apps and the PayPal donations. Check out the online store, family, if you don't mind. But let me know where you were at on 9/11 in the comment section. What would you have done different? Are you still in contact with the people from that day? Where were you at in life, period? Like I said, I was a student in high school during that time. It was my senior year. So, I'm thinking that day when I woke up, I'm just like, I didn't want to go to school that day. So, I'm like, man, this is my senior year. I can't wait to get out of here, blah, blah, blah. And then that happened. So, like I said, it just never will be the same again. And before I get out of here, I'm going to have a moment of silence and I will put the 9/11 banner back up. All right. How goes it, Chris? Yeah, definitely had to have my moment of silence. So hopefully you're doing pretty good. Yeah, Chris was we were both in high school at the time when that day happened. It was definitely crazy to say the least. You want to give your piece on what your mindset was that day, because Chris is a fellow New Yorker. Definitely call in, Chris, because it was very special to say the least. Very, very special. That's all I can say. That like I said, a lot of people didn't even like a lot of people left New York for good around that time because they just did not feel safe anymore. It's like I said, a event like that, whew, insane. How goes a young man?
Hey, what's up, brother?
How's fatherhood treating you on both sides of the house?
Yes, never a slow or dull day in this household anymore. That's for sure.
I know that's right, brother. I know that's right. So, you remember that day, man?
Yeah, I remember that day. What was it? We were just matter of fact, I was actually in my technology class,
Okay.
and a
Okay.
teacher. He was the only one of the few people up in that school that actually had cable. So we already had the TV hooked up. So we were watching the whole thing live
Uh,
at 10 a.m. Eastern time.
is that right?
Yeah, so we saw the whole thing live, like, man, what is going on? And then it hit me. I totally forgot at the time. My aunt was in one of the, she was working in the building.
Mm.
Now, granted, she was in the I forgot which building, but she was in the second building. So
Is
when
that right?
when she heard the loud crash and explosion, she didn't know what's going on, but she got out.
Mm. Got you. Got you. It's crazy because one of my uncles was an electrician in that area, and he was supposed to be servicing one of the towers that day, but he got held up in traffic, so he was on his way.
Mm.
We already know how bad New York traffic is, so that goes unexplained.
That was that was a blessing in disguise for him on that day.
Yes, yes. And one of my mother's friends actually worked in the Pentagon, and she in that area where the plane hit.
Ooh.
Is luckily she went to the bathroom, and and that's a huge building, so I guess the bathroom was very far away, and she had to go through therapy, for a long time to kind of get over that because she
I
just
don't blame her.
it affected her. Yeah, like I said, I understand completely. I can imagine the amount of people that survived or even saw the towers come down, the amount of therapy they had to go through.
Yeah, especially in her case, like literally, it was a bathroom break. That's potentially saved their life.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. You
it's
know,
one of those events that obviously, if we know anything about U.S. history, this is not the first time uh, foreign countries or enemies attacked our
right.
country.
Exactly. Exactly.
But as for now, this is hopefully this will be the last time, because this was definitely because obviously in history they didn't have TVs or cable or anything like that like we have now.
Right. Right.
Outside of social media, because social media would just start to develop.
Exactly.
So this one hits hard the most because of the fact that we have all the resources. We're able to visualize and see what happened. Especially for
Exactly.
me, I know you're a senior, so you actually I'm not sure what class you were in, but like I said, the class I was in, we had the
Right.
TVs, so we were watching it live.
Man, that's crazy.
So
I
obviously,
was
when things are live, there's certain things you can't censor things, you can't blur
got
out
you.
things. So
Got
we
you.
saw everything in its ironically in its rawest, most ironically purest form, so to speak. It was very tragic, and like I'm not saying I was scarred for it, but I know my aunt, God bless her soul, she made it out there, but
Right.
she ain't been the same since.
I believe it. I can. New York hasn't been the same since.
Well, one thing about New York, we could take a beating, but we'll get right back up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's just I was in gym class. I remember that
Okay.
that's when we got the news, and my gym teacher was like, a plane hit the Pentagon, and a couple of kids in my class, their parents worked at the Pentagon. They thought at first, since they couldn't see a TV, they just thought at first that it was just a regular plane crash incident.
Mhm.
Given the fact that that's where the Pentagon's right next door to Reagan National Airport. So, but of course, everybody else got the rest of the news later, and the rest
Yeah.
of the country.
And then the third plane that crashed in Pennsylvania, it
Right.
was supposed to go to the White House.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
like I said, this is like I said, outside of everything that's happened in history for at least the United States, this
Right.
one was probably the worst one because we're seeing it, we're witnessing it with our own eyes, and
Exactly.
not just the people that are like, let's say Reagan International, they've seen it from afar, or as you know, like okay, Crystal City, right across the street from Pentagon, people that's in their apartment, they can see it from their windows, or
Exactly.
New York, you in your buildings, and you see the World Trade Center get blown up and going down, like. Instead of you seeing it face to face, we're actually seeing it on TV in live time. So and then not to mention certain angles.
Exactly.
You have the news company, you have the news, all the news is CNN, Fox, NBC, ABC, all of them. They showing in different angles and seeing how bizarre it was. It was unreal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the crazy thing is, a couple of friends and former bosses, they actually were working in Crystal City at the time. So, and they told me they had to walk home because they literally shut down everything. You could not drive home that day. You couldn't get on the metro. Yeah, like some people had to walk to Maryland, across the Wilson Bridge. Some people had to walk from there to Springfield. Yeah, it was crazy.
And then you also got to think of like this as well, because like you said, I was a junior, you were a senior. Some
Hmm.
of our buddies that we knew and grew up from actually, because of this, went into war.
That's true.
They went into war. Matter of fact, if it wasn't my grandfather, I probably would have been a Marine, because I was definitely talking to them, and my mindset was it was it was all over revenge basically. It
Got
wasn't
you.
for the right cause. It was for the wrong reason. And my grandfather now, I'm not sure what type of pull he got in the military, but he made sure I wasn't getting in.
Is that right?
Not for that reason. If it was like, okay, I'm going there to learn a new trade and maybe get, my benefit for college, he would have. But because he knows how I am, how emotional I am about certain things, he
Right.
knew I would have went for the wrong reason. And I could have one of those, one of our colleagues that actually went to war
Hmm.
and he didn't make it out.
Mm. Yeah, one guy named Brian Medina that we went to high school with. Yeah, he actually died in the Battle of Fallujah.
Mhm.
And yeah, because we, back when I'd be a rapper, I used to rap with him, and we actually went to his funeral. So It was crazy.
He was a good dude, and not to mention his family. His whole family is military oriented, so he
Yeah.
was going to go on regardless. But it was just that timing for him was like, oh man. Well, we try to tell her, like, man, I know your family wants you to go and everything like that. It's in your blood. You gotta do it. We were like, man, don't do it. This ain't the right time, the right reason. Don't do it.
Right.
But we went, and I have to respect them for that. But we lost a good one over there.
Unfortunately, you
And
know.
then we didn't even talk about and this is just the emotional side. We ain't even talking about the business side of things, the financial side of things that took this country by storm as well. Because literally, it was on one side you have the economy dropping,
Right.
and then a few months later we go to war. The economy is blossoming in certain areas because that's where we were stationed at. Like Northern Virginia, it would not be what Northern Virginia is right now if we didn't go to war. If 9/11 never happened.
I agree. It definitely a lot of people, great example, because of that, a lot of people started making money going overseas as well.
Right. Because
companies started to blow up. Exactly. And a lot of the companies started to blow up and whatnot. And like you said, when any country goes to war, it's either it's a great opportunity financially or it's a bad one. It just depends. But yeah, it's like the DMV would not be what it is today if it wasn't for 9/11 and the Iraq War. I mean, let's call it what it is.
Yeah, the war economy.
Yeah, it's like so and a lot of jobs were created. A lot of businesses were created. Especially the veteran-owned, the minority-owned government contract organizations are created. Even
just think about
organizations.
Think about it like this. Amazon wasn't even created yet.
Nope.
Facebook wasn't even created yet.
Nope.
The plans were in place, but it wasn't. They haven't started. You haven't seen it. The internet was still in its infancy.
Exactly. Heck, I didn't even have an email address during this time frame, so I didn't know.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm really showing my age then. I had like 3 or 4 back then.
Hey, I mean, I did. Well, let's be real. I didn't have a computer back then. Really? Didn't have a computer. Didn't have a cell phone.
You should have came to me back then. In that
time, let's be. What was I? I was a teenager. What was I interested back then? Let's be real. Not computers.
Well, I guess
emails and having fun. I mean, I was a teenager.
I guess coming the geek side of me because he gave us 3 or 4 computers that I was and I was selling them.
I believe it. Yeah, I was geeked about hip hop music back then. So
and other things.
Yeah, I was rapping. I was creating music back then. So
I still have that album somewhere in my house right now. It's still striving.
I mean, heck, the only reason why I got into technology is because of the music, 1, and 2 because of business. Back then, shoot, I was just about I was working my job and I was just being a teenager.
That's true.
I didn't even having I didn't want to be at Garfield. That's why I was like that year. I was just like, yeah, just let me get the heck out of here. I want to be done with it.
Senior Itis was no joke. If anybody listening now and you're about to be a senior in high school, senior itis is real.
It is big time. One time I was like, okay, let's do all these assignments. Let's get it done. Let's go. Graduation day. Let's get it going.
I think when my teachers and my guidance counselor told me like maybe a month and a half, maybe 2 months before graduation, and they're saying, yeah, Chris, you don't have to, you can turn in no more assignments the rest of the year and you'll still pass with your GPA intact.
There you go.
And right now I'm thinking, you should never said that. Because that last month and a half, 2 months, it was just, all right, I'm here. What's up?
I was never there mentally, but yeah, I feel you on that one. Let's just call it what it is. But yeah, it was a special time. That's all I could say. Because I couldn't. What was it? I couldn't even. When I got off, I couldn't go to work when we left school that day. So I just went straight home.
Yeah, we got like, what was it? When we got to the house, because I know you went your way and I went my way to my house, because we're like literally down the street from each other.
Right.
I'm trying to call my mom too, because like make sure she got a hold of her auntie, but the phone lines were off. So you couldn't get a hold of anybody. I mean, we had the cell phones and the landline. It was just a dial tone. It was just
Got you.
like you couldn't get through to nothing. So it took a few hours for us to find out that she made it out safely and everything like that.
Got you.
She was definitely shaking up. So it took us about a few weeks to get a hold of her. But yeah, the lines were that alone right there. Especially if anybody that had family depending on Order World Trade Center or even on that plane that crashed in Pennsylvania. Those are like the that river right there is like a cold, silent moment because you're like, okay, how can I get a hold of somebody?
Exactly. And everybody was freaking out. A lot of my cousins up north were freaking out because they couldn't get a hold of their parents and whatnot. Parents couldn't get a hold of them, etc. So, and back then, not everybody had a cell phone like they do now.
Yeah, I mean, cell phones. I mean, even like I said, the landlines were out too, so
yeah,
you couldn't get on anybody. So that was the toughest thing. So just imagine, like, just even well, right now we can't find one, but imagine trying to find a payphone to try to call somebody, and that line's dead too.
Exactly.
They shut everything down for that day, and it took maybe a few days to get everything at least in operational mode.
Exactly. So it's just that's why I tell people, you know what? Don't ever take any day that you're alive for granted because you just never know it might be your last.
Man, I know that all too well, especially what happened last week, actually last Saturday. Is you cannot take anything for granted, and you always want to give somebody their flower to smell it. Like I said, I was talking to you about it last week, giving your flowers, everything like that. But literally, this past weekend, it was just a situation that hit me so hard that like, man, this could be it type stuff. So I know that by heart. It was very humbling moment because I know what I need to do, and because my job is giving me more time off.
Right.
I was supposed to back to work this past Tuesday, but they gave me more time off because of my situation I went through to make sure we good.
I know that's
I'm definitely entitled to that, but it was definitely, like I said, especially with 9/11 kicking in and everything that happened to me this past Saturday. And I'll send it to you the message, see exactly what happened and stuff. But
okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, whatever the case may be.
Well, we in good spirit now, so we good now. But
that's all that matters.
Okay. But that Saturday, the last Saturday was a very scary moment for me.
So. Well, it's like you said, that's why you appreciate being alive to this day, and you keep doing what you have to do for you and your family.
Exactly.
That's all I can say. Have you heard from anybody since the second edition to the family came?
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Been calling me. But like I said, we were. What was it? I want to say last Wednesday. We were able to take our. Not this past Wednesday, but the week before. We brought our daughter home, and everybody was calling, see everything was doing everything like that, and then everything was going bad on this past Saturday, the 5th. So now you have people trying to call me while we're in a situation where I just can't answer the phone.
Got you.
So I had to relay messages to my sister, tell everybody else what's going on, and I will try my best to get back to you as soon as I can. But it was so many things that I didn't care enough to make sure family's good.
Phone that's all that matters.
Was on pause, do not disturb, or off.
I know that's right. That's all that matters.
You can't take it for granted. You cannot take life for granted. No matter how hard you try not to, it does. Certain things going to kick you in the ass. This is.
I agree. I agree. 100%. 100%. That's why you're grateful to this day, and you just keep going from there.
Yep.
That's all you can do at this point in time. You know what I mean?
Oh, you can control what you can control, but whatever you cannot control, you just let it go.
That's it.
And you let someone else handle it.
Isn't that the truth? Mm-hmm. Not the truth. Realest thing I've heard all day, to be honest with you. Okay.
Yeah, just got to let that go. And another thing I'm also going to say, you let it go if you have any issues, any beef with anybody, any disagreements, animosity. let that go because
Yes,
you don't need it. You do not need that in your life.
I agree. It's a waste. It's wasted space. It's wasted energy. Period. Okay.
Yeah, you just got to let that go. I mean, you may not associate yourself with that person ever again, but you could always, whatever grudge you may have, just move on. You ain't got to even sit. You don't have to even talk to them. Just do what you can, keep it moving.
That's it. I couldn't agree with you more. It's like I've said this 1,000 times. I have no problems with anybody at this point. As long as nobody's trying to like physically assault me, I'm a man at peace in this life right now.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
fine.
I'm a man at peace. I'm just making moves, and everybody, and I mean everybody, the best in this life right now. Okay,
Absolutely.
in this life and in the next life, because life is too short, and I just want to see everybody be happy and everybody to be prosperous and everybody to be healthy as possible, and go from there. If
Oh yeah.
this and everything else hasn't taught us anything, I don't know what will.
Yeah, I want everybody to be successful. Want everybody to get on their grind, do what they can for their family. Um, Obviously, you want me to help you out, I can do that. But if not, keep doing best. Make sure whatever's good for you and your family. Um, and just have a smile on your face. Sometimes smiling goes a long way.
Isn't that the truth? I don't think people realize that, I really don't. I don't think it's the little things in life that people take for granted, in my personal opinion.
Mm-hmm.
They
Exactly.
really do. They really do. Definitely inbox me. Let me know what happened. So make sure everything is good, and definitely don't forget to plug your website in
Oh
and
yeah, definitely.
put your business out there and all that good stuff.
Speaking of which, like I said, my website is finishing up being designed, everything like that.
Very nice. Still in the
It's
finishing
going to look
stages, huh?
really good when it's up and running.
Okay. You still going? So you're going to be off for work for another couple weeks, or?
Yeah, I don't have to go back to the 21st.
Okay, cool. That's good to hear. That is good to hear.
So that just gives me more time to focus more on my business, get everything together, more reading, more studying, getting the right piece in places for like life insurance, everything like that. I
Absolutely.
spoke to a representative earlier today, so he gave me a lot of pointers. So what for me so far, what I need to do to get myself in my position to what I want. So it was very great. It's very good of that as well. So
Well, good. That's good to hear. That's good to hear, man. And that's all that matters. Like you said, one day at a time, slowly but surely. We're going to get there either way, right?
yes, sir.
Definitely tell your family I said hello, man, and definitely stay as positive as you're continuously doing. And hey, man, always proud of you, brother. Keep doing what you're doing down in good old hot San Antonio, Texas.
Thank you, brother. And also, just for the fans out there, if you ain't realized yet, this man got another LLC for properties in Nevada. So I'm proud of you for that one, man, because I know you're about to go Carson City, Las Vegas, and California. So
It's on, brother. It is definitely on. That's all I can say.
I'm gonna Airbnb soon, brother.
Yeah, you know it. You know it. I mean, it's funny that Nevada's considered the best state to open up a LLC compared to any other state in the country.
I heard of that because my uncle actually he's a travel agent. So he got his license and his LLC out there in Vegas as well. And he told me it's much simpler if you get out there than it is in Texas. I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
they get the most protections compared to any other state in the union and whatnot. As a matter of fact, there's a little mini history behind. I was reading out of How to Start a Corporation. That was a book by the Rich Dad Poor Dad people.
Mhm.
And basically, Nevadians have always hated California because California basically used to own all of Nevada, and vice versa, as far as the hatred back and forth. And the federal government owns like up to 70% of the state of Nevada. So Nevadians can't stand Californians, and they can't stand the federal government. So it's funny. But they did the number one thing they did is they made it the most far as the cheapest for one to open up an LLC in the state and to offer the most protections because obviously they wanted to be able to have more incentives outside and create more business outside of just gambling and whatnot because that's not sustainable, especially in COVID-19.
Yeah,
But yeah, you
exactly.
should definitely look into it for future business references. But I appreciate it, brother, man. You definitely have a good night, and I'm going to hit you back in a second. All right.
Yeah, no doubt, brother.
All right, man. Have a great night, brother.
You too, man.
All right. All right, family. Definitely always a pleasure to talk to my brother from another mother. And yeah, I was just opened up that's another good thing about today, opened up an LLC for uh, current and future rental properties to put my real estate properties in their specific name and whatnot. I'll put it right here, State Nevada Corporation, Addison Rental Properties. So we are in business and we're going to continuously make money moves all at the same time. I don't just talk about it. I like to be about it. So, but anyways, let me know how you felt and whatnot. And on 9/11 and where you were at and, you know, what would you have done different, anything of that nature, right? So take care, family. Do the great 3 free things: like, share, and subscribe. Check out the online store. It's always greatly appreciated. And have a great evening, family. Take care.